The last thing my mother said before I stopped speaking to her was, "After everything we did for you, this is how you repay us?" She said this because I wouldn't adopt my sister's unborn child, because I wouldn't give up my life, my apartment, my relationship, my future, to raise a baby my sister didn't want. Because I said no. One word. No. And that word broke something in her. Something that had been cracking for years. The room went quiet. My father stared at the floor. My sister scrolled through her phone like nothing was happening. Then my mother said it. "Everything we did for you." I asked what she meant. She looked at my father. He looked away. Then she told me the truth. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Before I tell you what she said in that living room, I need to tell you about the 28 years I spent as the reliable sibling. The one who cleaned up Winona's messes. The one who figured things out alone. The one who was told, "You're so responsible," as if that meant I didn't need love. That should have been my first clue. I just didn't know what it was a clue about. Let me start at the beginning. Before I continue, I need to ask you something. Have you ever been the sibling who was expected to fix everything? The one who was told you were so mature and so responsible, while your brother or sister got all the attention, all the help, all the grace? Have you ever wondered why the rules were different for you? If yes, hit like and subscribe right now. This channel is for every person who has been the reliable sibling, the one who was never allowed to fall apart because someone else was already taking up all the space. Where are you watching from tonight? Drop your city in the comments. I'm recording this from my rental duplex in Boise, Idaho, and I promise you, by the end of this story, you're going to understand why I don't answer my mother's calls anymore. And if you've ever discovered a family secret that changed everything, comment "reliable" so I know you're my people. Some of you already know where this is going. But trust me, you don't know the half of it. Let's get into it. My name is Tatum. I'm 28 years old. I'm a licensed veterinary technician at an emergency animal hospital in Boise, Idaho. I make $54,000 a year. I live in an 850 square foot rental duplex. My landlord never returns calls. My dishwasher sounds like a dying animal. But the backyard is fenced, and I filled it with rescue plants that somehow thrive despite my neglect. I drive a 2015 Ford Escape. The passenger side mirror is held on with duct tape after I clipped a mailbox in a parking garage. There's a dog crate permanently taking up the back seat. My sunflower air freshener has faded to white. My glove compartment is stuffed with gas receipts from 3 cross-country moves. I have a boyfriend. His name is Mateo. He's an auto mechanic. He drives a truck that smells like oil and ambition. He's kind. He's steady. He's never asked me to be anyone other than who I am. I've been in therapy for 2 years. My therapist's name is Dr. Patel. She's patient. She's direct. She's the one who finally helped me see the pattern I couldn't name. Let me tell you about my family. My mother, Cheryl, is 56. She's a retired teacher. She specializes in guilt and selective memory. She remembers every time I disappointed her. She forgets every time she disappointed me. My father, Gerald, is 59. He's a high school principal. He specializes in keeping the peace, which really means doing whatever my mother wants and calling it diplomacy. My sister, Winona, is 25. She's unemployed. She has 2 children from 2 different fathers. She's the golden child. She can do no wrong. That should have been my first clue. The golden child and the reliable sibling. The one who needed help and the one who gave it. The one who took and the one who filled. Tell me in the comments, were you the reliable sibling or the one who needed saving? I'll wait. Growing up, I thought the difference between us was personality. Winona was wild. I was steady. Winona made bad decisions. I made good ones. I didn't know then that I had been trained to be steady, that I had been shaped into the kind of daughter who wouldn't ask questions. When we were kids, Winona broke things. I fixed them. She broke a neighbor's window with a baseball. I apologized. She failed a class. I tutored her. She got pregnant at 19. I drove her to appointments. Her first child was a boy, Liam. His father left before he was born. My mother cried at the baby shower. She said, "Winona is so strong." Winona was not strong. Winona was tired. Winona was scared. Winona was a child having a child. But no one said that. The second child was a girl, Maya. Different father, same story. Winona was 22. She said she wanted to figure herself out. She left Maya with my parents for 6 months. I helped. I babysat. I bought diapers. I stayed up late with a crying baby who wasn't mine. My mother said, "You're so good with her, Tatum. You'll be such a good mother someday." I didn't realize she meant mother to someone else's child. That was the pattern. Winona created crises. I solved them. Winona received love. I received expectations. My father never said much. He just nodded along. He patted my head. He said, "That's my girl." I didn't know what that meant either. Winona called me on a Tuesday. She was pregnant again. 3rd child, 2nd father. She was crying. She said, "I can't do this again, Tatum. I can't." I said, "What do you want to do?" She said, "I don't know." I said, "Have you talked to Mom and Dad?" She said, "They want me to keep it." I said, "What do you want?" She didn't answer. A week later, my parents called me to their house. Winona was there. She looked small, defeated. My mother sat me down on the couch. She held my hands. She said, "Tatum, we have a solution." I said, "What solution?" She said, "You adopt the baby." I thought she was joking. She wasn't. I said, "I can't adopt a baby. I work full-time. I live in a duplex. I have student loans. I have a boyfriend I'm not even married to." My mother waved her hand. "Details. We can work those out." "Work them out how?" "You'll figure it out. You always figure things out." That sentence, "You always figure things out." It sounded like a compliment. It was not a compliment. It was a sentence. She said no. I looked at Winona. She wouldn't meet my eyes. I looked at my father. He was staring at the floor. I looked at my mother. She was waiting. I said, "No." The room went quiet. My mother said, "What do you mean, no?" "I mean no. I'm not adopting this baby. I'm not raising a child that isn't mine. I'm not giving up my life because Winona made choices she doesn't want to face." Winona started crying. My mother's face went red. You're being selfish. I'm being honest. After everything we've done for you, this is how you repay us? That sentence. Everything we've done for you. I said, what does that mean? She looked at my father. He looked away. She said, you don't know? Know what? She took a breath. Then she told me. I wasn't their biological child. I was adopted. At 6 weeks old. They had tried for years to have children. They couldn't, so they adopted me. Then, 4 years later, my mother got pregnant. Naturally. Miraculously. Winona. The golden child. The biological child. The one who was wanted in a way I never was. Not because they didn't want me, but because they chose me. And they never let me forget that I owed them for being chosen. Every expectation, every demand, every time I had to sacrifice for Winona, it was all because they had saved me, and I was supposed to be grateful. I sat on that couch, in that living room, the same living room where I had done homework and eaten birthday cake and fallen asleep during family movie nights. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I said, why didn't you tell me? My mother said, we were going to when you were older. When? No answer. I looked at my father. Did you know? He nodded. How long? He said, always. I stood up. My mother said, where are you going? I said, home. You can't just leave. We need to figure this out. I said, I already figured it out. The answer is no, and it will always be no. Then I walked out. I drove to Mateo's apartment. I sat in his truck. He came outside. He opened the passenger door. He didn't ask questions. He just held my hand. I told him everything. He said, what do you need? I said, I need to know who I am. He said, then let's find out. The next morning, I went to a DNA testing facility. I submitted a sample. I started searching. I also called Dr. Patel. She said, how are you feeling? I said, like a transaction. She said, tell me about that. I said, they didn't raise me because they loved me. They raised me because they wanted credit for raising me. She said, that sounds painful. It was. I took a leave of absence from work. I told my supervisor I had a family emergency. She didn't ask questions. She just said, take the time you need. I spent 2 weeks in my duplex, watching TV, walking the dog, ignoring my mother's calls. She called 43 times. I didn't answer. She left voicemails, first angry, then sad, then confused, then angry again. I deleted all of them without listening. The DNA results came back in 6 weeks. I had matches. Distant cousins, aunts, uncles. I started messaging them. One of them, a woman named Deborah, responded immediately. She said, are you looking for your birth mother? I said yes. She said, I think I know who she is. Her name was Carmen. She was 45. She lived in Spokane, Washington. She had been 17 when she gave birth to me. Her parents had sent her away. She had been forced to sign the papers. She had been looking for me for 28 years. We talked on the phone for 3 hours. She cried. I cried. We both apologized for things that weren't our fault. She said, "I never stopped thinking about you." I said, "I didn't know you existed." She said, "I know. That's the worst part." We met in person 2 weeks later, in a coffee shop in Spokane. She showed me photos of her parents, her siblings, her life. She looked like me. Same eyes, same hands, same way of tilting her head when she was nervous. She said, "I don't want anything from you. I just want to know you." I said, "That's all I want too." We see each other every month now. She drives to Boise. I drive to Spokane. We meet in the middle sometimes. She has a husband, 2 kids, a dog named Pickle. She's not perfect. She's just real. That's more than I ever had before. I wrote my parents a letter. I didn't send it for 2 months. I kept revising it, kept editing, kept asking Dr. Patel if I was being too harsh. She said, "Are you being honest?" I said yes. She said, "Then send it." I sent it. Dear Mom and Dad, I know you think you did the right thing. I know you think keeping the adoption a secret was protecting me, but it wasn't. It was protecting yourselves. You didn't want me to know I was chosen because you wanted me to believe I owed you. Every demand, every guilt trip, every time you asked me to sacrifice for Winona, you were cashing in on a debt I never agreed to. You told me I owed you for saving me, but you didn't save me. You bought me. There's a difference, and I'm done paying interest. I have found my birth mother. Her name is Carmen. She's not perfect, but she doesn't keep a ledger of what I owe her. She just loves me. That's what I needed. That's what I never got from you. I'm changing my last name. I'm not going to argue about it. I'm not going to explain it. I'm just going to do it. Please don't contact me again. If there's a genuine emergency, Mateo will let you know. But I don't expect there will be. Thank you for raising me. Thank you for feeding me and clothing me and sending me to school. I am grateful for those things. But gratitude is not ownership, and I am not your property. Tatum. I never got a response. I changed my last name. I'm Tatum Reyes now, Carmen's maiden name. It felt like coming home. Winona had the baby, a girl. She named her after our mother, Cheryl. I don't know what happened to the baby. I don't ask. Mateo and I bought a house, a small one, with a yard, for my rescue plants and his oil-stained truck. We're not married yet. Maybe someday. Maybe not. I don't need a ring to know I'm loved. I'm still in therapy. I still see Dr. Patel. We're working on trust, on boundaries, on the difference between guilt and responsibility. She asked me last week, "Do you miss them?" I thought about it. My mother's voice, my father's silence, Winona's indifference. I said, I miss the idea of them, the family I thought I had. She said, "That's fair. It is." My parents tried to contact me once. A letter. It said they were sorry. It said they loved me. It said they hoped I would come home for Christmas. I didn't respond. I spent Christmas with Carmen. We made tamales, We drank too much wine. We watched bad movies. She said, "I'm glad you were born." I said, "I'm glad you're my mother." She cried. I didn't. Not because I wasn't sad, because I wasn't sad anymore. I was just full. People ask me if I'm angry. Not anymore. I was angry at my parents, at Winona, at myself for not seeing it sooner. But anger is heavy, and I got tired of carrying it. The truth is, my parents did love me, in their way. They just loved their version of me more than the real one, the version who owed them, the version who would never leave. They were wrong. I left. And the world didn't end. The sun came up. The plants grew. The dog needed to be walked. Life kept going, without them. That's the revenge. Not a letter, not a name change, not a DNA test. The revenge is a life they can't touch. I have that now. I have a mother who chose me without a contract, a boyfriend who loves me without a ledger, a therapist who helps me see the truth without flinching. I have myself, and that's enough. If you're listening to this and you were the reliable sibling, the one who fixed everything, the one who was told you were so mature, as if that meant you didn't need love, I see you. You don't owe anyone for your existence. Not your parents, not your siblings, not anyone. Love doesn't come with a bill. Family doesn't require repayment. The people who truly love you don't keep score. And the ones who do, you can let them go. It's hard at first. They'll call you selfish. They'll call you ungrateful. They'll say you're destroying the family. Let them. Then change your name. Find your people. Build your life. The best revenge is not revenge at all. It's freedom. So tell me, would you have adopted the baby? Would you have cut them off? Would you have changed your name? Comment Team Reliable if you think I made the right choice. Comment Team Family if you think I should have tried harder. I read every single one. If this story hit you somewhere deep, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Like this video. Subscribe for more stories about boundaries, justice, and learning to say no. Until then, stay steady, stay unshakable, and never let anyone tell you that you owe them for being born. They bought me. They raised me. They cashed in every chance they got. The day I stopped paying was the day I finally became my own.